I was a child, I didn't quite understand why my mother kept leaving or why she wasn't present, but I knew I felt moments of loneliness. I felt abandoned. I wasn't old enough to understand the why, and her drug of choice was crack cocaine. I would wake up and she would make promises that she didn't keep. When the frequency was happening more and more, when I became the mother to my 2 younger siblings at the age of 8, changing diapers, making bottles, preparing dinner in our 2-bedroom project apartment. Being responsible, taking on those responsibilities when I don't even understand them was a lot. When we were removed from her care, it was like, oh, something must be wrong with Mom because we can't even live with her anymore. So when we did get separated, we went to separate family members' houses, and I felt there was pieces missing, that we would visit each other, talk on the phone frequently, just so that we all could remember that we still are family. My brother and I, we were old enough to see it, but my sisters were newborns and 3s and 4 and 5. They didn't really grasp it, but we seen it. We saw the physical change that my mother would go through. My name is Markeya Lowry. I'm born and raised here in Pittsburgh. My roots run deep on the north side and in Homewood, actually. I spent my adolescent years on the north side, actually raised by my grandmother and my mother. My mother was battling addiction through my adolescent years. I have 2 younger sisters and an older brother. We have the type of family where you're not going into a system. We'll all shack up in the house before we break up the family. So I lived with my grandmother for a few years. And then when my mother got back on her feet and got sober, we then transitioned to Hazelwood. So I spent my high school years growing up there. I went to a charter school, Urban Pathways Charter School. I just recently moved over to the Edgewood area where I'm currently raising my daughters. As far as growing up, I don't feel like I had a bad childhood, even with the ups and downs and the ins and outs, and a parent dealing with addiction and her own personal journey. I do nonprofit work, so anything you can think of, I've worked in that field, particularly the substance abuse, mental health. I've worked with that population. There were rehabilitation centers here available. I just think at the time she wasn't ready. There was this one particular center for single mothers, and they were able to bring their children with them under a certain age. And so it was like a 6-month rehab program, and she was able to take my baby sister up there. And I probably was like 11 going on 12. And I was able to catch the bus to go see her, and I was a part of her recovery. And they would have family day every Sunday for those children who were over age. And they just welcomed us. The center embraced us. They were beyond kind. And I think that the residential piece was key for them. That 6+ month is key because it really withdraws them away from the triggers. It did my mom justice because that's when she said, I'm done. So in my adult years, I can understand my feelings, I can understand my emotions, and now I better understand the disease. My approach is different, my coping mechanisms have shifted, but it's challenging still. Self-care is something that I live by. You have to establish rituals. What are the things that make me feel at peace, calm, still, allowing me to think, and tap into those, as it's going to look different across the board. What works for me may not work for you. And I may need to go into the corner and breathe 3 times, and that allows me to decompress, where you may need to listen to music for 15 minutes. Understanding your safe space and what that looks like, and understanding that safe space should be able to be moved anywhere. Whether you're at home, whether you're at work, whether you're driving down the street, being able to revert back to your safe space immediately and understanding your signs. My loved one is someone who is very, very close and near and dear to my heart. My best friend, he's an amazing individual, an entrepreneur, business owner, a great father, a great son. But understanding the disease, we know how that all those things don't matter. It makes me angry when I think about it, it makes me upset. But then I have to remember that I'm not dealing with the person that's in front of me. So acceptance for me as the supporter, that I'm dealing with the drug. I'm dealing with the disease. Not embracing their journey as yours. Understanding that you can't carry the weight of the people around you and still carry your own weight because you're going to fall. And trying to take on an addiction, the disease, it will put you into their shoes immediately. And so understanding that you have to set boundaries for yourself and with them. It's okay to love them from a distance. So set the boundary. Identify it, set it, and be okay with it.